This episode of Fuel for the Soul is powered by ASICS. Head over to asics.com and sign up for a one ASICS account. It's completely free, and when you sign up, you will receive 10% off your first purchase. You'll also gain access to exclusive colorways on asics.com, free standard shipping, special birthday month discounts, and more.
Hi, this is Thomas with Believe in the Run.
This is Megan with Believe in the Run.
And this is Megan with Featherstone Nutrition.
AKA Feathers.
And you're listening to Fuel for the Soul, the podcast where we chat all things hydration and nutrition and how it affects performance. And today we are going to answer a bunch of your listener questions.
Speaking of listeners, Meg, I did a bad thing.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I left. Someone was very sweet, sent me a bunch of bags of peas and carrots from Trader Joe's.
Oh, yeah.
And they wrote a lovely note. I left a note at home, and I can't remember the name off the top of my head, but you said it. You thought it was?
I don't know, because we've gotten a few gifts recently, which have all been lovely, and thank you. Someone sent us dice for grit. And someone's name was Jenny, but I don't know if that was her.
Okay. Maybe I'll try to find the card and bring it back in, but thank you so much. Appreciate it. And I won't say the words yet because I don't want to end the show. We're just getting started. So let's roll, guys.
I was just going to say, I still haven't tried peas and carrots, so I don't know. Guess I'll have to go to Trader Joe's.
The gummies? You haven't tried?
Or just wait till you come out here to go to D.C. with Meg.
I'll bring you a pack.
And believe me, we've got more than I can eat.
They're kind of like Sour Patchy, like a little bit sour. At least the peas are. They
could be used for fuel during a run. Honestly, it's just a gummy. It's just like a sugary, salty gummy.
Yeah.
All the rage.
Yeah.
All right. Before we answer these questions, we have to talk about our sponsor, RNWY, because we teased it last week or 2 weeks ago. Their new product, Salty Carbs, and you can officially get it now, right?
Wait, I thought you said salty caramel carbs. Did I just put caramel in there?
You literally made that up.
Oh.
So have you been thinking for a whole week that you were getting salty caramel carbs?
I was like, you could sprinkle it on top of ice cream. It'd be delicious in a lot of different ways. Yeah.
You 1,000% added that in yourself. It's just salty carbs.
Yeah, okay. Just salty carbs, no caramel. Or
which
caramel,
I love the name.
Yeah.
I love it. I love the name. Yeah. So I'm excited about salty carbs because it's possible. I think, Meg, you and I were running with him in Chicago last year on our ASICS tour, and he's like, we've got this new product coming out. What do you think? And we were like, it needs more salt. You know, we wanted to make sure that it kind of stood out from what we've seen. I mean, I don't know if they really took our advice or they were already planning on doing that, but I was really excited to see that this product came out with 700 milligrams of sodium in it, whereas a lot of the other in-run electrolyte drinks that contain carbs are around like 300 to 400 milligrams of sodium. So this one has 30 grams of carbs plus 700 milligrams of sodium. So for anybody who is a saltier sweater or trying to survive this crazy heat wave and sweating more than usual, this is a great product. And it's another option to add into that. I've been playing around with it. There's a melon flavor, a raspberry lemonade flavor, and an unflavored. So if you're looking for something that you can mix other things into, or if you're not
like
somebody
caramel
who likes a lot of flavor, you can make your chocolate caramel product with the unflavored, Thomas.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right, I have a quick question for you. Wait, do we need to give a URL first?
Yeah.
All right, go ahead and give the
topics.
URL. Go ahead. It's the same topic, but different.
Okay. Well, so if you guys want to try RNWY's salty carbs, you can go to runway.life. That's RNWI.life. And then you can still use the code FEATHERS15 for 15% off your purchase.
Yep.
All right, you ready, Feathers? This is my question.
Yeah.
I ran 10 miles in the sweltering garbage heat that is going on right now, that is high humidity, high dew point, all the highs. And I sweat a ton, and I took water with me and everything like that. But when I got back, I was craving my salty drink that has 1,000 milligrams of salt in it.
Yeah.
I did one. I loved it. Later that day, I was like, I'm still craving it. I did another. No headache, no nothing. Felt good.
Yeah.
Later that night, I took one that had less. That had like 300 milligrams versus 1,000.
Yeah.
And I still don't feel like I got enough. Is it possible? Like, where should I be? Like, hey, slow down, kid.
Yeah. And this is a question I get constantly. My group was talking about this week. I think people are just a little bit still scared because we've been told for so long how bad sodium is for us. We actually have a question. We'll cover this today as well. But if a good kind of frame of reference to gut check, like, is this too much or not? Most of us lose around 1,000 milligrams of sodium per liter of sweat. So for every 2 pounds you lose while you're out there, you're losing around 1,000 milligrams of sodium. Obviously, like we've talked about around here, we may lose a little less, we may lose a lot more if we're a saltier sweater, but that's kind of just a great standard if you don't want to go get sweat tested. So if you were ever curious, you could weigh in and out around a run. And if you're losing 4 pounds, then you need that 2,000 milligrams of sodium to replace. And it sounds like you just took water while you were out there. Maybe you could take some salty carbs on your run so that you can offset how much your body needs afterwards, just to make that a little easier for you. But I certainly don't think, with the weather you've been running in, and if you were running over an hour, I don't think you took in too much there.
Yeah, because I feel good. How would I know if I took too much? Would I get a headache, or would I be like, I can't get my rings off?
Yeah. I mean, think about like when you go out and eat like a really salty meal and your body's not used to it, and you wake up the next morning and your hands feel kind of stiff and you can't get your rings off, things like that. Maybe that's too much, but the hard part about that is that's also a sign of low serum sodium, of like the beginnings of hyponatremia. So
that's what happened to me
tricky
when I did rim to rim.
Yeah, probably.
I was running out of water and my fingers just blew up.
Yeah, it's crazy. So, it's hard, but probably not too much is, I guess, the message there.
Okay, very good. We have some listener feedback, but Megan, do we want to talk?
Feedback? Did we ask for feedback?
We answered one of their questions and they wanted to let us know how it worked.
Okay.
Yeah. But we we had our 8th stop of the Move Her Mind series in Monterey, which we were super excited about. And in looking at what was going on that same weekend, Wharf to Wharf was the very next day, which is in Santa Cruz, which is an hour north of Monterey. So we went to Monterey. We interviewed Lindsay, who founded Women Run Monterey. It was a great conversation. We kind of chatted about balancing life and work and running and racing and all that good stuff. And then went to Santa Cruz and raced Wharf to Wharf, which was your first race back from injury.
Yeah. I mean, like maybe 10 months without hitting a race up. And I kind of forgot how much I love the race atmosphere. So it was really exciting to be back. And we were all trying to figure out what we were going to run out there. The weather was so lovely that it was like, that's not, and I think my Strava said it was 60 when we started. Like it was so lovely. But I kept telling, Meg, that I was hoping to average, like a 7:15 pace. And I went out there and just felt so good and clocked. I think there's a 6:22 in there. And I was like, old Megan's back. I mean, she's not back, but, there was a glimpse of running faster with ease in there. So that was exciting. So now I got to figure out, get my butt in gear and maybe start training again.
I mean, would that end up being like a 6:30 pace?
Yeah, because I went out and I was like, okay, don't go start out faster than a 7-minute pace. Like you're going to blow up. You have only run easy pace for the past 4 months.
I mean, that's pretty sick. I mean, that's amazing.
It was cool. Yeah.
I understand that if you did a certain thing, you got a certain reward. Did everybody get the reward?
We did. So my friend Carrie runs it every year, and she was like, the top 100 females get a quarter zip, which it ended up being a sweatshirt, which whatever. But and I was like, there's no chance I'm going to get one. And she's like, Megan, usually if you're sub 6:45 pace, you can get one. So after the first mile, when like just sub 7 felt good and I was able to pick it up to like a 6:30, I was like, well, shoot, maybe I could get myself a quarter zip. So every hill I was like trying to pass as many females as I could. I was like, I gotta get it.
Did that motivate you? Was that part of the reason that you maybe, like,
1000%.
do you think maybe you would have, so you probably would have been like, 7:15 is good for the day if you hadn't said, hey, I could get this sweatshirt?
there was like competitive Megan came back out immediately, and I was like, whoa, haven't seen her for a while.
So when you see the little swoosh of a ponytail or the of a braid going back and forth, is that like you're like
I was on it. Well, right. And it was rolling hills, and historically Hills and I have not gotten along, but since I haven't been able to run the way I want to, I've been biking a shit ton. I've been doing reformer Pilates twice a week, PT, strength training. So all of a sudden I was like, holy shit, that's working. Like I feel so strong on these hills. And, you know, I'm listening to the other women breathing and I'm like, she doesn't look strong. This is so mean. But this is what was going through my mind. I was like, you can get her. You can get her.
Were you giving them mid-race advice? Like, don't drink any water. Do not drink any water.
Yeah. No,
don't
one person did stop or like, you know, was like right next to me talking to me like, oh, my daughter is going to want to meet you. And I was like running as hard as I possibly could. So I was like, neat. Like, I'm like, I can't talk right now. Like, I'm running. I'm picking these chicks off. I think she ended up beating me though.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was, it was a super fun course.
Did you really fuel during the race or did you say I can make it 6.2 miles without any fuel?
We're laughing because we might have had to go to the convenience store because both of us ate graham crackers in our hotel room, but that was 3 hours before the race. And neither of us were like, hey, we might need something else to eat. Actually, I think you forgot your bar. You were going to eat more. But luckily there was a convenience station, so we just used our phone and Apple Paid and got like a Cliff granola bar.
A Cliff bar, yeah.
I was going to ask you, if Cliff Bar is kind of chunky, I would have gone for like...
Well, no, because we were looking at, it actually has almost 45 grams of carbs and not that much fat. So I was like, this will be perfect.
It's perfect,
okay.
Yeah.
But nothing during the run, nothing...
No. It was so lovely. People were stopping for water. I was like, you need water?
Yeah, I was like, I'm
60 degrees.
Yeah.
Fine tune from your heat training.
Yeah.
East
right?
Coast. You don't need the, what do they call it, elevation training? You had the swamp training.
Yeah. Humidity training in full effect.
Yeah, I do think.
That's amazing.
That had to be a big piece of it. Yeah. And then Meg, what were you, like 6'10" average? I mean, she was way up front. I think she was like the 30-something female. Yeah.
Well, it's also interesting... 39th, right?
Somewhere, I think. So it was funny because they just hand you a card at the finish line, but then I guess like the official results aren't always the exact same as the card you got because they're just literally like,
they could hand it to somebody who came in for.
But 30-something.
30-something. All right, and both of you. Here's the thing that I think is interesting about this: neither one of you guys are prepping for race or kind of like in race mode. Especially like I've been waiting for the giant to awaken inside of this Megan here because you've been kind of fuzzy about racing and I think this sparked it off, right?
I mean, definitely. It was just so fun. I forgot like how fun it is, especially we were talking about we started in the back of our wave, and so you couldn't really go out too fast just because there was so many people, and so it kind of forced like to ease into the race, which also set us up for the perfect like passing people the entire time. And there's just something so satisfying about passing people all the way to the finish line. Like that's like the competitiveness that's just like, yo, I can get that one. Oh, I can get that one.
Sometimes when I'm just running in the city here, like I'd be like, I don't want to get past today. Like you see people and you're like, okay, I'm going to like, I'll stop and turn around if I think no, I'm kidding. But all right, so this is it's good because we're getting into fall. I'm guessing Feathers It, you're gonna run New York for fun again with the Meg, and then I'm sure Meg told you on the trip, but I'm sure the audience is interested in that you have maybe committed to a hard effort.
I'm not 100% committed, but we talked about it on the other podcast. The marathon project is on the radar because that's a late December race, so it gives me time to go have fun and work at the majors, and then maybe have a little bit of more concentration for a faster marathon.
Okay, here's what I think is exciting about this. I know what kind of does give you energy, and sometimes that you get sapped when we do these big events, but what does give you energy is being around these high-level athletes. Like I remember when you went and did the Boston 10K, and then you did the New York race, and you were on like a high from those. Similar to what I'm hearing about the Wharf to Wharf. Do you think that's going to fuel like being there with like all these people that are top of their game?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what pros will be there.
And you had the option to be in the back of the pro field.
Yeah, but I didn't want to run by myself. What's the point of that? I would have gotten dropped in 300 yards.
Bye, guys.
One woman show out here.
Yeah, that
race.
doesn't sound fun at all.
Yeah. I mean, it's a loop course. They would have caught up with you sooner or later.
Yeah, I would have just gotten lapped.
Then you could just pretend you're on their lap. I don't know.
Yeah, for sure.
I love it. I love it.
You'd be the person like when we're watching the track events, we're like, get out of the lane.
You're in the way.
I love it. I have a bib for the Akron half, which is endish of September. I don't know. It feels like it's like 7 or 8 weeks away. So now I'm like, at first I was like, I don't know. Am I ready to train for that? But I'm like, dude, if I can hold my old marathon pace for 6 miles, I think I can hold my old marathon pace for a half.
I think you're going to be fine. I actually would bet that you can go faster than that.
Yeah. So I think I'm ready to
you
try.
probably went out a little conservative.
Oh, yeah, for sure. But that also probably why it was so fun, right? Because
Yeah,
you had some gas in the
exactly.
tank to give it when other people were fading. Yeah.
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 So that's the moral of the story. Everyone go out slow and then crush everyone at the end.
Win a free sweatshirt.
Yeah. Okay, let's get into today's topic and first listener feedback. This is from Madeline. She said, I wrote in a little while back needing help with hydration and electrolytes as a nursing mother. I was so thrilled to see my question answered in the very next episode and so shocked to hear your answer. I had no idea I was so behind on my hydration needs. I immediately worked on implementing your suggestions and felt so much better on the run and after the run. My headaches are gone, my soreness and tiredness is much improved, and my milk production even went up. I can't thank you enough. I will never stop recommending your podcast and nutrition services to everyone who will listen.
I love to hear these positive things from all of our listeners, especially our listeners who are feeding other tiny humans. So I'm glad that it worked out for Madeline, and we appreciate hearing your feedback.
What's crazy to me, though, is that these little simple fixes, like it makes a huge difference in your life. Like the quality of your life, your quality of your running, and obviously milk production. You know, a small tweak is a fix.
Well, and especially for you, Megan, like it's so like easy to understand and you're just so used to this is what you're supposed to do. But for the average person who doesn't have a nutrition background, like it's just, it is simple, but also at the same time, you just don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel that way why I have like a financial lady, you know, like there's things
Right.
that we just don't understand and know, and we have to outsource to the experts. We don't have to know it all. So thanks for writing in with all your questions, guys.
All right. Our first question is Jill Elliott from Texas. She said, I live in North Texas. As I'm sure you know from visiting the state, it's hotter than hell here in the summer. I have to run in the heat to be able to race in the fall and winter. Most of my runs are in the evening because it's tough to try and fit in an early morning run when I finish where I really can't fathom trying to eat much of anything. I know lowered appetite in the heat has been discussed on the pod before, along with the magic number of 20 to 30 grams of protein post-run. My question is, can a serving of something such as RNWY, which has 25 grams of protein mixed in almond milk, suffice for the evening? By the time I get home from running, I have anywhere from an hour, maybe 2, before I go to bed. So to me, the idea of just knocking back a protein shake doesn't sound terrible when I don't have the desire to eat anything. Is this enough for recovery, or do I need to just suck it up and eat something while also suppressing my urge to barf by said food? I should also mention that I just got over some soft tissue injuries around my ankle this past spring that I really don't want to relive. So I'm just curious if I'm playing with fire by just having a protein shake post-run when I can't stomach the idea of food. Thank you for all the info and everything you guys do. It's made a world of difference with my running, and I can't even begin to express how appreciative I am.
This one's crazy. I'm going to jump in here. You saw my finger flying up a bunch.
I did. I was like, Thomas is ready.
I was like, teacher.
Pick me.
This has been happening to me. I can't think about eating when I get done. And I actually have been using the Aussie berry RNWY, and what I've been doing is I'll take a banana, put that in there. I've been using the protein powder, and then Meg doesn't know this, but I've been stealing some of her almond milk and putting ice in the almond milk, and that's it. And I blend that up and get the smoothie going. And then I go, like today, took my shower. And then when I was done with the shower, my appetite started coming back. So then it still isn't super strong, but I ate one of your blender muffins and some cottage cheese to just kind of like top it off. but like had no desire. Like normally, like if I could have a bagel and egg and cheese, that would be like an ideal breakfast or something like that. But right now in the heat, I come back and I just don't want anything.
Yeah, I feel that. That's super common. It really is. So I'm going to explain why your advice was correct here. So recovery is both protein and carbs. So she's getting the protein for her muscle recovery when she has her protein shake, but we also need some carbohydrates to restock our glycogen stores. So I'm assuming she's eating dinner before she goes, so she's not skipping a meal. So assuming that that's happening, my suggestion would be, like Thomas was saying, is to add some sort of carbs into your shake. So you could do that by adding a banana and making it a smoothie, like Thomas was saying. Or you could switch and use like oat milk, which has some carbs in it. The only thing is you'd have to use probably more than a cup. So if that's like too much of a volume, like 2 cups of oat milk would probably give you the carbs you need. Or like a sweetened almond milk. So you're getting some sugar in there if you don't want to add the banana. But we definitely need some carbs in there.
Maple syrup or something in there?
Yeah, maple syrup, honey. They also different brands make like a recovery product that has some carbs with their protein. I also think you could add like a juice to your protein powder. I did that recently with vanilla protein powder and orange juice, kind of like an orange Julius with ice, so juice is a really easy way. Yeah, to add some extra carbs in there too. So I'm okay that she's not eating and forcing a full meal right before bed. But I do think we need to add some carbohydrates in there with that protein post-run. And then
does a blender muffin have the carbs?
Mm-hmm. I think there's 25 grams of carbs.
Yeah.
We're analyzing all the nutrition on our recipes now, so it'll all be up there soon, but I'm pretty sure
that's the 25. Thing. When I give it a little break, so I get the smoothie down. Like I said, I'm taking a shower. I'm assuming she's probably taking a shower. Mm-hmm. The blender muffin is almost like a treat. It's got a little couple chocolate chips on it or whatever. Mm-hmm. So it's like almost like a dessert kind of thing. Get that down. And then, I just add in the cottage cheese to like kind of make sure that I'm satiated. But that's because I run in the morning and I know I'm going to the office. I'm not going to eat until lunchtime.
Right. I know. I totally agree. There's some mornings I come home and I want that bagel sandwich and I make that big old bagel. And then there's other days where I'm like trying hard to get down a protein shake and then waiting and eating just a plain bagel. So some days are easier than others, but we just need to make sure we get both the protein and the carbs.
Is there other things besides smoothies that are easy to get down that can provide what we need?
So a lot of people right now are liking overnight oats because they're cold and you can make them ahead of time. They're already in the fridge, right? And then you can just kind of slowly eat them. I've got some recipes on my site that have adequate protein and carbs. So I think that's the important part, is just making sure it has adequate protein in there too. But that might be another ideal option for this time of year.
Speaking of oatmeal, did you know that it comes in different formats?
Yeah, you mean like quick oats, old fashioned?
So Meg, I overheard Meg saying she needed oatmeal. So I thought I was going to be a good husband when I went to the grocery store and I would pick her up oatmeal. And this one was called Steel Cut. And I was
God. I was like, he didn't get Steel Cut, did he?
I knew that the instant ones weren't the ones to get, Mm-hmm. But I thought Steel Cut sounds cool. Like that sounds like, like tough. Yeah. I want Steel Cut ones. Yeah. And so I brought those home, and Meg, she was nice about it. She didn't call me an idiot, but she opened it up and showed it to me, and she's like, it's like little pellets.
Yeah, that ain't it for blender muffins. They'll be real crunchy.
Wait, no, but so I found out you can actually, so we have like a coffee grinder for coffee beans, and if you grind them up into like a flour.
Perfect.
I didn't use 2 cups of that, but like half of it was that, and it worked. They actually were fine.
Oh, those are in the blender muffin?
Not now. The ones last week.
Oh, those were good ones.
Yeah, they're not bad. Mm. So if you blend it into a flour, it kind of does actually work.
And it made that blender muffin a little denser.
Yeah. My kids have been wanting me, when eggs were so expensive, I was using chia seeds instead of eggs, and they're really dense. And now they like that. So even though eggs are back, I've been putting chia seeds in, so they're like thick and dense and fudgy. Yeah.
All right. Our next question is from Ashley Holmes from Massachusetts. She said, I know you guys have been talking about recording audio questions, but my voice is like nails on a chalkboard for me, so written question it is. First off, thank you so much for the existence of this podcast and all of the valuable information you provide to the running community between here, your websites, and social media. I'm going into my 5th major, Berlin, in September, and no matter how many times I've done this, I'm always continuously learning new things about fuel, recovery, etc., and trying to become a better, albeit slow, marathoner. My question as we round the corner into the long runs of the training cycle, how do we stave off the dreaded runger? I do the fueling, salting, intra-run, but I find after these 12-plus mile runs, I am insatiably hungry for days, where all I want to eat is macaroni and cheese, grilled cheese, anything bready, cheesy and creamy, and I literally can't stop myself. I know they say you crave what you lose the most of during a run. At least that's what I've been told.
She's losing mac and cheese.
I'm assuming, based on everything I've heard from you folks, a lot of that is salt. And I've been trying to incorporate avocado for healthy fats and be more mindful of my protein intake to help stabilize my appetite, but I'm still battling these cravings and hunger. So what is the secret, and how do I keep myself from sabotaging my stomach/nutrition as we inch towards another marathon?
I love this one. Right? We often get the questions of people scared they're not fueling enough and they're not hungry and they can't eat enough. But this is super common. I just don't think people are reaching out about it as much. I mean, how many times have you casually had a conversation with a new runner and they're hungry all the time? They feel like they're eating a bunch of quote unquote junk because that's what's easy and fast when the hunger comes out of nowhere and they're at work and there's snack drawers and vending machines, that kind of stuff. So this is super common. Not saying Ashley's a new runner, but we do see as people's mileage increases, if we're not knowledgeable about our nutrition on a daily basis, our hunger and cravings can just go through the roof. So she's not necessarily wrong that if she's having this insatiable hunger, it's her body telling her she needs something. I don't know if it's telling her she needs mac and cheese for every meal, but, yes, salt is probably a piece of this. But I'm really wondering if her daily nutrition isn't quite adequate, whether it's total energy intake, protein intake, or timing. So I'm thinking that it's probably either a lack of protein or a timing issue that she's feeling this raging hunger after a long run. So I would have Ashley double check, are we getting adequate protein throughout the day? So we always say we need anywhere from 20 to 40 grams of protein 3 separate times per day. And while that's great for muscle recovery and keeping our body healthy, protein keeps us full longer than anything else that we eat. So if she's having this crazy hunger, even if it is after long runs, I just wonder if maybe the day before she's not having enough protein, right? We're not eating protein before our long runs, but just daily nutrition habits, I'm feeling like something's missing here. So I would have her check that first. And then the sodium piece. So if she really is craving that much sodium, we kind of talked about this at the beginning too, maybe we do need to make sure we're getting enough adequate sodium the night before the long run and then during our long run, which it sounds like she's aware of that, but maybe we need a little more, right? If those sodium cravings are through the roof. And then to the timing perspective. So not necessarily just thinking about long run days, but looking at your whole week, are we going 5-6 hours without eating during the day? Because that can kick us in the butt on long run day. So really kind of taking a step away from just focusing around that long run and are we doing something wrong, but looking at daily nutrition, making sure we're not going too long without eating, it's balanced, we're getting adequate protein 3 times a day, and just see if those cravings are tempered a little bit. Because a lot of us, every time Meg and I run a marathon, once our appetite comes back, we're like, we want a burger and French fries, right? So cravings are normal after running, but they should be manageable. And it sounds like this is out of manageableness at this point.
Yeah.
I'm going to dumb it down even a little bit more because I think this is an issue that we had before we worked with you Feathers. So at that time, we were having salads for lunch that had, like you said, not very much protein. We were doing things to try to limit calories until we were at the run. And then at the run, we're doing the gels and we're doing this stuff and then wondering why we were running out of energy at the end of the run or why we didn't have that sustainable energy. And then afterwards, we probably also weren't refueling as well. And then I think on top of it, people who are using running for, maybe they're not trying to run a sub 3-hour marathon, maybe they're just trying to use it for exercise and a healthy lifestyle. That reward function comes into it where it's okay, I'm going to deprive myself. I'm going to have a crappy performance because of that. But then I'm going to load up afterwards as a reward for telling myself, hey, you did a great job doing your 20-mile run. And that becomes like this weird cycle of like not really being in a good nutritional space.
No, I think that's a really good point. And if Ashley or anyone listening resonates with that, let's put the mac and cheese the night before the long run. As long as you don't have like a dairy intolerance, right? I mean, that's perfect. It's sodium, it's carbs, you know? So like instead of, if that is a reward situation, instead of being like, I get to eat mac and cheese after my long run, like let's move that and put it back the night before and see if having those extra carbs the night before, you actually feel better on your long run and then your cravings aren't as bad afterwards. So yeah, that's a really good point.
All right, our next question is from Lindsay Moreth from Baltimore County in Hunt Valley.
Hey.
That's very close.
I'm near where you grew up.
Yeah, I'm a very average 45-year-old runner, a slow one, but still relatively new at it. I love the podcast and soak it all in. If I'm tracking macros/calories to maintain weight, or even when I'm in a deficit to shed a couple pounds, should I include my gels and hydration packets, or should I consider them part of training and not subtract those carbs from my daily intake?
Yes. So we have talked about tracking nutrition on here for a full few episodes in the past, but we haven't talked about it recently. So there's newer listeners or people who didn't listen to some of those early podcasts. I thought we could talk about tracking nutrition as a runner. Totally upfront, not even going to hide my feelings on tracking is I do track with my one-on-one clients, but we don't track numbers. We track timing. So when, and we track what. Literally just type out what you ate, right? Because I do see that the long-term consequences of numbers and tracking numbers constantly, whether it's calories or macros or a combination of the two, doesn't always lead us to the best behavior habits around our nutrition. Eating towards numbers oftentimes rewards the wrong things, such as trying to get people to spread their nutrition out evenly throughout the day. We see those calories ticking down. So inherently, our brain wants to protect those calories and save them for the end of the day, which is not how our body needs fueled, right? Or eating to numbers instead of listening to our body and noticing that, hey, the day after my long run, I'm actually more hungry, and then not eating what you should eat because the numbers say don't eat more, right? So a lot of times I see that it creates habits that aren't always conducive to long-term success with our nutrition daily and then also as a runner. Some of the pros that people who do use nutrition tracking state are that it helps increase their awareness around their food choices, and then two, education. So like Meg was saying earlier, I could probably rattle off nutrition stats of things in my head if you asked, but most people don't have that knowledge. So some of us, it's really eye-opening to be like, holy, I'm not getting enough protein, or I'm eating way too much fat, or I need more carbs, So sometimes that awareness can be helpful. And then two, we know accountability is huge. We all need accountability in our lives. So some of us kind of falsely or partly find that in a nutrition tracking app for a short period of time. So those are some of the things that people may say they like about it, right? But I always just want to remind people that it's a tool. Make sure that it's not guiding our choices, and two, if we want to take a step back from the numbers piece, I think there's ways that we can track and accomplish maybe what she's looking to accomplish without getting too obsessed about those numbers. So just be honest with yourself about it. Because I do just want to make sure we're creating good habits long-term. And sometimes I worry that those trackers don't. But that aside, if it is working for Lindsay, technically all nutrition counts towards our daily intake, but our daily needs are not always the same, right? And a nutrition tracker can't help us with that as much. So the day that we are doing a long run, yeah, technically that nutrition we're taking out there counts, but if counting it makes you not eat enough the rest of the day to recover, then just don't count it, right? Like just don't put that in your tracker, which is kind of always been my stance, because what I saw too often was people were tracking all these gels and then not eating enough carbs the rest of the day because they already hit their carb limit, which is so silly. You just ran. You were burning so many carbs while you were out there. Or vice versa, I want to eat those carbs later, so I'm not going to fuel during my run. And those are the habits that we do not want to get stuck in. So yes, it actually counts. But if you really are tracking your numbers and you don't want to stop that, please don't count your nutrition during, because I worry that it's going to negatively impact those two pieces.
When I was working with you one-on-one and we were tracking, I felt like it was so interesting because it, like you were saying, I think in our society, it's just kind of like the norm to have like smaller meal for breakfast, smaller meal for lunch, and then dinner is like this big meal. which doesn't make any sense for someone who runs in the morning.
No.
And like, so I feel like that was the most like eye-opening for me, at least, was just like the timing of food.
I felt better really having solid breakfasts. I just felt like everything performed better.
Yeah. I still remember when I was in my dietetic internship, I'd never eat breakfast. I would go to work without breakfast. And I remember that one of the dietitians was like, "What are you thinking? Like, you need to eat breakfast." And I was like, "I don't know. Like, we didn't always like eat breakfast at home. Like, I never saw my mom eat breakfast." So I was like, "Why do we need breakfast? You know, you do what you know." And now I look back and I'm like, I can't even drink a cup of coffee without eating something first now. I'm like, I don't know how I ever did that. So, you know, even myself have drastically changed nutrition habits over the year, because we're a product of what we know and maybe what we saw or what we see now, and maybe that's not right for us as runners. So
All right, let's get in one more question here. This is from Krista. She said, longtime listener, heavy salty sweater, and elementy aficionado here.
Dude, we should make a Christmas sweater that says salty sweater, because I think that is the majority of our audience. I know that I'm in that crowd as well.
Yeah.
But
That's why they're here.
too.
They're like,
I know.
what? Help me.
This
So
is like,
can we really make that a Fuel for the Soul
Yeah.
salty sweater for ugly
Yeah.
Christmas parties? We have to.
yeah.
Okay, well, we'll figure that one out. Okay, she said, lately I've been seeing more and more people in the community on Instagram talking about how electrolytes are a, quote, sham, specifically the popular brand that we all know and love, and how consuming excess salt is still bad for you even if you're running lots of miles. What's this about? Is there any truth to it? Are we taking steps backwards regarding electrolytes and endurance running? I feel like electrolytes are a game changer for me, especially in the heat, so I'm confused as to what this mindset is all about.
I am wondering if this is coming from that New York Times article that I debunked recently on Instagram. I'm thinking the timing of when she emailed this. I'm wondering if she also saw that New York Times article.
Well, it also had ripples. You had like all the Instagram
Yeah.
influencers and stuff chiming in.
So this New York Times article was basically saying that the electrolyte market is a multi-billion-dollar market and we actually don't need them, was basically the takeaway from it. It would be easy to say like, oh, they weren't targeting endurance athletes, and endurance athletes are different, right? But they did go on to bring up some other points in there that was targeted towards endurance athletes, things like hyponatremia for long distance runners. So I think that's where it got really confusing for people. Instead of just being like, this isn't for me, I'm an endurance runner and I know I need differently, seeing a little bit of, oh, I do that. And then it was just increased the confusion from people. So, if your gut instinct is, I sweat a lot, I am salty, when I take more salt, I feel better, that is all the information you need, right? Ignore these articles, because just like we were saying at the beginning, we lose about 900 to 1,000 milligrams of sodium for every 2 pounds of sweat we lose. Most of us in the summer lose minimum of 2 pounds an hour, unless we are just one of those people who barely sweat. Some of us are losing 4 to 5 pounds in an hour, which would be 2,000 plus milligrams of sodium that we're losing. And we know that, yes, we can get salt through our diet. So if someone was a salty sweater and was diligent about adding sodium or higher sodium products, they wouldn't have to take electrolyte drinks if they didn't want to, right? There's options to get sodium different ways through our nutrition. It's just really easy when we need more of hydration anyways to take something high in sodium. Also, we know that when there's some sugar and sodium around when we drink water, that we hydrate faster, right? So that's very beneficial for us who are sweating a ton. Obviously, there are individual variations. We know that sweat rate is different for everyone, including time of year, that's going to change, and sweat composition. So some of us are saltier than others. So we know that those two things, if you're really, really worried about your sodium intake, we can test both of those things. The sweat rate's super easy. You weigh in and out around a run. I have a calculator on my website if you want it. And then sweat composition, there's a couple different companies that can do it for you. If you feel like you want more accurate information about exactly how much sodium you're losing, if you're that worried about it. But for most of us, when we're sweating like crazy, we need it. We need more sodium. So if you're not getting that through your diet, it's fine to rely on electrolyte drinks. I think we all do. We all know the importance. I think most of us, when we scale up sodium, when we're sweating more, feel better, less cramping, less GI issues, faster recovery, less headaches, less fatigue. So if you're noticing those things by scaling up your sodium, then clearly you need it. So just, go with your gut. Don't worry about, things that you're reading from
I also
online.
have good news for you.
What?
When we were out in Western States, I was taking photos at the finish line, And this one research group reached out to me because they noticed that their team was in some of the photos, and they asked if I could send the photos to them. So for their research study to show, document, stuff like that. And what they're doing was studying the effects of sodium loss on athletes. And of course, Western States starts at like 50 degrees, but majority of the time they're out there, it was like 80, 90 degrees in the canyons and stuff like that. These people are trying to stay wet the whole time. They're trying to stay, hydrated. And they're trying to stay, they're dumping ice on them all day long. And so they're from, is that Loughborough? How do you pronounce that, Meg?
Looks like it. Loughborough University.
Loughborough University, and they're putting together a study, and one of their participants is Killian Jornet.
Oh,
who
stop it!
He didn't look that sweaty at the end. And I'm going to tell you something. Most of the people that I see that are like ultra performers, that are like, their systems are so efficient that I think they don't do what the rest of us do. But I saw plenty of people out there that were, it was dry air, but they were wet and stuff like that. But I'm interested to see, clearly they're interested in performance athletes and hydration. And
there are some research studies that have looked at small populations of endurance athletes, and their conclusion from their research study of like 9 or 10 people was sodium does not improve performance. So that was pulled into this New York Times article, right? It's like you can find research that says adding sodium, increasing sodium did not impact performance in this subset, this group of our participants, right? But from my vantage point, knowing that the people that need more sodium and aren't nailing it are the people who are coming to me, right? There is such individual variability when it comes to sweat loss and how we need to approach that. Like if somebody put me in a study and gave me no salt for a marathon and then gave me salt, there would be drastic performance differences because I sweat so much and I'm so salty, right? But someone who doesn't lose a whole lot, sure, they're not going to see that. So I think
why can't we do? It'd be so easy to do a test, like get people, like have people sign up at the expo. Yeah. Be like, look, here's what you're going to get out of this. We'll give you a year's supply of salty beverages if you need them, whatever it is. Get a whole group of people at the, say, Chicago Marathon. You're talking about 45,000 to 50,000 runners. You get 2,000 people to participate in it. You weigh them before the race goes on. You do all this stuff. Have them run with a monitor when they finish.
But then you've got to monitor their sodium intake. You've got to weigh in and out. You've got to...
Yeah. Like, did they go out too fast? Did that cause their GI issues and hurling at the end of the race? Like there's so many variables, but I do think it could be studied well. But my question is like, are we just not choosing the right people? We need to be choosing these people who have had negative impacts from dehydration or sodium losses, right? Whether it's cramping, GI issues, headaches.
I wonder if people could self-identify though.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, but I think it could be studied better. But I do think in a group of 9, it's very possible that only one of those benefited from sodium. So then the final results aren't significant, right? So I just think it hasn't been studied in the right way to prove that sodium for some individuals can be the missing piece.
Hopefully for this UK group, they're got a bigger sample group.
Okay. I think that does it for today. Thank you all, as always, for listening. And if you have a question that we haven't answered, you can send us an email at fuelforthesoulpodcast@gmail.com. We'd also love to hear your voice, so you can send us an audio submission there as well. And we'll answer it here on the show.
Peas and carrots.
Bye.
Will you hit that button?
That was so good.
That's a win for the titties.
I was not expecting that. Hi, Ralphie.
Sorry.
Yeah, so I love that this has helped Madeline so much.
Okay, can we close out?
Yeah.
Before you go off on your TED Talk?
I'm this whippersnappers with their AI and their stuff. I just hate it.
Can we please leave that in?